Drilling down now into the breaking news about OPEC. The United Arab Emirates, a key member of the oil cartel, is pulling out, exiting as of May 1st. The U.A.E. is pointing to uncertainty from the effective shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz because of the war between the U.S. and Iran. The strait is the main route for the country to ship out its oil, but the U.A.E. also moves oil through a major pipeline that bypasses the strait. A London-based energy market analyst says the U.A.E. leaving OPEC would cut the cartel's capacity by about 15%. Joining us now from Calgary is Heather Exner-Pirot. She's a senior fellow and the director of energy, natural resources and environment at the Macdonald-Laurier Institute. Heather, thank you so much for jumping in on this breaking story. How should we think about the UAE leaving OPEC?
Well, it's obviously in the context of the larger Iranian crisis. And I guess it's another signal that energy markets are going to be changed forever, that we are fundamentally changing things. OPEC will be weakened. I think for UAE, they're seeing an opportunity. Maybe they've been thinking about it for a while to be able to grow production on their own timeline.
Yes, it seems that they have been thinking about this, although they didn't consult with anybody, didn't signal that they were going to pull out at this tumultuous time. What does it mean for oil prices?
Yeah, so I think the market reacted, with prices dropping a little bit. And that is an expectation that OPEC has, quite an important balancing role in the market, that it does prevent prices from dropping too much. It does prevent oversupply. That's not obviously a problem right now. We have a lot of undersupply, but maybe in anticipation that there won't be as much discipline in the market going forward, that there could be more flooding, that there could be more price wars. But obviously, UAE is looking at that this is a time where it would want to grow market share, does not want to be restricted by Saudi Arabia and how and when it does that. And so taking this opportunity of this disruption to try something different.
Yes, I mean, we're seeing the third or fourth largest producer in OPEC, the UAE, and it wants to expand from roughly 4+ billion barrels of oil a day to over 5. Do you think this exit could impact the Iran war?
I don't know that it'll impact the Iran war. There's obviously tension between, the Middle East, between the neighbors. And so maybe this is, a manifestation of that, certainly not a cause of it. But I think, we will be recalibrating who provides how much and when after the Iranian crisis, however it ends, however it gets, kind of bringing back to some kind of normal. And I think UAE is having a plan to come back at a bigger scale than it was before, not going to have the same share that it was allocated before, is likely what it's trying to do here.
Heather, what does this do for Saudi Arabia, the leader really of OPEC? Obviously a big change in the cartel for that country. How will they react?
So Saudi Arabia is the biggest producer, and it has had the most power in OPEC in determining, because it's able to really balance and add and subtract supply. So it's a big swing producer and could dictate a little bit where OPEC went. Obviously, UAE didn't want to be that little brother to Saudi Arabia, did not want Saudi Arabia to have that kind of control. And so this is obviously a blow to Saudi Arabia's leadership in OPEC, into its ability to manage, what the cartel does. And so you can expect that this increases tension amongst those neighbors going forward.
Yes, in part because the OPEC also has a sort of a political arm, and that often it takes decisions on alliances, for example, with Russia, that all the members have to go along with. And clearly, UAE is saying we want a more independent political path on energy crises as well. What does this mean, though, for Canada?
So in general, it would mean that the market might be a bit more volatile, and that you are seeing some of the OPEC members wanting to produce more, which in a normal sense would be bad for Canada. We're competing with them. But the markets are so changed right now that I think Canada has obviously the best opportunity to get as much market share as it possibly would want. And so in the short and medium term, I don't see how it affects Canada. If in a few years you get some resolution to energy markets and you do have more supply than demand, then that would be maybe a problem that you're having, there's again less discipline. But overall, for me, this is just one more sign of this new geopolitical era we're in, where multilateral organizations and alliances don't matter as much. It's really, a kind of a Hunger Games dog eat dog world out there, everyone doing it for themselves. Here's another example of that.
It's so true. I mean, the U.A.E. has been a member of OPEC for nearly 60 years, first as an emirate and then as a country. It's really stunning how these things are shifting. Heather, thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be here.